Hello and welcome to the YouTube channel of Canara Engineering College. In today's video session, we'll be learning regarding the processor modes and bank registers of ARM processor. To recall back what we have studied in the previous lecture mode, we have studied regarding the programmer's model of software developer, that is how actually a software developer will be looking into the ARM processor, what are the basic components of the ARM processor, what are the source registers, what are the destination registers, how are the buses, how the data will be pre-processed, how the data will be processed, and how exactly the data that is processed will be sent back to the destination registers, and how the data from the destination register will be sent back to the memory where it is intended to be stored. That is, we have actually looked into the data flow model of a ARM processor. Further, what we did is we checked regarding the various registers of the ARM processor. Looking into the registers, we came to know that there are basically 16 plus 2 registers which are always functional in the ARM processor, out of which 13 are general purpose registers, 3 are specific purpose registers, and 2 registers are very specifically used for storing the status. One was CPSR and other one was SPSR. The registers were named by the number R0 to R15, with every register having its own capacity and its own functionality. Very specifically, R13, R14 and R15 were the registers what were used for a specific purpose. This is what we studied in the previous video lecture. This video has already been uploaded to the YouTube, and people can go through this particular video and clarify any doubts in case if they have with respect to the topics what I told just now. Moving on further, we also need to check regarding the various processor modes which will be, or which a processor will be exhibiting when it is working. So normally the processor mode determines which registers are active, or the various modes of the processor here actually are used to indicate out of the registers. That is, we checked regarding some of the registers, right? We checked regarding various registers. We checked regarding R0 to R15. After that, we studied regarding CPSR. We studied regarding SPSR. So out of this register, we had R13, R14 and R15. So this was your stack pointer. This was your stack pointer register. This was your link register, and this was your program counter. So R0 to R12 were the general purpose registers. Apart from that, R13, R14 and R15 were the specific purpose registers, and if there were no specific purpose for this registers, then probably this registers can also be used as a general purpose only. And we had two additional registers, which was current program status register and saved program registers. We also checked regarding the CPSR, that is, we checked regarding the 32 different fields of the CPSR, out of which one field was called as flag field, next it was called as status flag field, other was called as extension field, that is, this one is what I am speaking about. So this is your CPSR. CPSR is a 32-bit register, out of which 4 bits are used by the flag register and 8 bits are used by the control register. The remaining bits are used for the future use, which is not yet used. So now, when I speak about the processor modes, there are 5 bits here. There are 5 bits in this particular mode register. So based on the value what is filled up in this particular mode, the processor will be working in the different modes. And what are those different modes which the processor is going to work is what we are going to study in today's video lecture. So that is what this processor modes is all about. So basically the processor mode determines which registers are active and the access rights to the CPSR registers itself. So each processor mode, basically when I speak about the modes of the register, the modes here are divided into two. One is called as a privileged mode, and the other one is called as non-privileged mode. So when we speak about the privileged mode, a privileged mode is a mode of the processor in which, if I speak about your CPSR, if you speak about the CPSR here, so flag, status, control and extension bits of my CPSR, privileged mode is a mode which will give you complete access to this particular CPSR. That is, you can read and write any of the bits of this particular CPSR under the privileged mode. Coming to the non-privileged mode is a mode which will allow only the read access to the control field of the CPSR. So as you know, there are four fields. One is flag field, one is status field, one is extension field, and other one is control field. So when we speak about the privileged mode is a mode which will let you change, read and write the contents of the control field. You can change the contents of this field as per your requirement. Moving on to the non-privileged mode is a mode which will let you people only read the contents of the control field. It will not let you change any contents of this particular control field. Under this privileged mode, we have 6 different modes, and under this non-privileged mode, we have one mode. This 6 different modes of this particular privileged mode are: first one is called as abort, second one is called as fast interrupt request, or you can call it as FIR. Next one is interrupt request. Next one is supervisor mode. Next one is called as system mode. And last one is called as undefined mode. Coming to the non-privileged mode, as I said you, there is only one mode here. This is called as user mode. So basically my processor can work in 7 different modes. So basically the modes are categorized into privileged and non-privileged mode. Privileged has got 6 different modes. Non-privileged has got one mode. Privileged mode is a mode which will let you read and write the contents of the control register of the CPSR. Non-privileged mode is a mode which will let you only read the contents of the control register. So this is regarding your modes of the processor. Moving on further, what are these particular modes? So speaking about the 7 different modes, 6 are privileged mode. The first one is called as abort mode. So when do you call the processor is in the abort mode? The processor enters the abort mode when there is a failed attempt to access the memory. That is, let us say that you have a processor and the processor will be asking for some data. The data what is asked by the processor will be in a memory. The data from this memory has to be brought to the registers of this particular processor. So when the processor is asking for the data, there will be an attempt to access the data that is present in this particular memory. When the attempt to access the data from the memory fails, that particular mode is called as abort mode. That particular mode is called as abort mode of your processor. So what normally happens if the processor is not able to fetch the data? Obviously the processor should abort the process, right? Or it should stop the process, right? So that is why we call that particular mode as abort mode. Fast interrupt request and interrupt request are the two different modes that are with respect to the interrupt levels available with respect to the processor. So when can you call the processor is in the fast interrupt request mode or interrupt request mode? Whenever there is an interrupt request which is coming from a peripheral, you can call the processor is in a interrupt request mode or fast interrupt request mode. Fast interrupt request mode is a mode in which the processor is allowed to process that interrupt request immediately. Interrupt request mode is a mode in which the processor can finish off the process and later it can service the interrupt that is coming from the peripheral. Supervisor mode is a mode which in which or we call the processor normally is in the supervisor mode after the reset. That is normally as soon as you turn on the system, as soon as you turn on the processor, you can call the processor is in the supervisor mode. We had explained this, right? There is something called as initialization code, operating system, device driver, applications. I said about initialization code. Supervisor mode is a mode during which the initialization code will be running. Before the operating system takes over, there will be a kernel which will be operating the system. So that particular mode is called as supervisor mode. System mode is a special version of the user mode that allows full read-write access to the CPSR. System mode is one mode which is a mode among the user mode. User mode, we are very sure that it is among the non-privileged mode, right? It is among the non-privileged mode. So system mode is a special version of the user mode that allows full read-write access to the CPSR. That is what is your system mode. Undefined mode is a mode of a processor when the processor encounters an instruction which is not defined or which is not supported by the implementation. For example, you have a set of instructions and you write one instruction which is not an instruction which is not among the instruction set of the ARM processor. When the ARM processor processes this instruction, it says that I do not know this instruction. So immediately your processor will be entering into a undefined mode. So basically there are 7 modes, out of which 6 are privileged mode, and those 6 modes are: first one is your abort mode, second one is your fast interrupt request mode, third one is your interrupt request mode, fourth one is your supervisor mode, fifth is your system mode, last is your undefined mode. The last is non-privileged mode. In the non-privileged mode, you people are not allowed to write anything to the control field of the CPSR. In the CPSR, there are 4 different fields. The first is flag, second one is status, third one is extension, the last 8 bits are for the control field. This 8 bits of the control field of the CPSR can only be read in the non-privileged mode. It cannot be written. You cannot write the contents as per your choice in the control field of your CPSR. That is what is your non-privileged mode. So we are pretty confident regarding the various modes in which the processor is going to work right now, isn't it? Henceforth, or we are pretty confident about the various modes which the processor is going to work. Next topic what we are going to study is, we are going to study about the banked registers. So when we speak about banked registers, we need to be very much confident regarding the various modes in which the processor is going to work. One is privileged mode, the other one is non-privileged mode. In the privileged mode, you have got 6 different modes. In the non-privileged mode, you have got one field, isn't it? You have got one field in this. So bank registers are those registers, or you can check out here, bank registers are those registers which are identified during a particular mode. For example, let us say that basically my processor has got 16 plus 2 registers, okay? Please understand, it has got only 16 plus 2 registers. Suppose if your processor is working in a particular mode, let us say that it is working in a fast interrupt request mode. It is working in a fast interrupt request mode. When the processor is working under a fast interrupt request mode, some of the registers out of 16 plus 2 registers, some of the registers will be working very specifically for this particular mode. You can check out here. When the processor is working under the fast interrupt request mode, you can check out R8 has been turned out to R8 FIQ, R9 FIQ, R10 FIQ, R11 FIQ, R12 FIQ, R13 FIQ, R14 FIQ, SPSR FIQ, which means that the processor or the registers registers has been changed as per the modes. So the registers what has been changed as per the modes are called as banked registers. What will happen during the interrupt request mode? During the interrupt request mode, some of the registers will become R13, R13 IRQ, R14 IRQ. What will happen during the supervisor mode? R13 SVC, R14 SVC. Undefined mode, it will become R13, R14, undefined, undefined. Abort mode, R13 abort, R14 abort. So basically the same registers, but these registers will get themselves renamed. These registers which are getting themselves renamed during a specific mode are called as banked registers. So normally during the banked registers, there will be 20 extra registers. Basically they are the 16 plus 2 registers itself. They are not new registers, but they will get renamed. These 20 extra registers will be hidden. Normally during the normal operation of your processor, that is normally when the processor is in the user mode, when the processor is in the user or when the processor is in the system mode, normally this 20 registers will be hidden. This 20 registers which will come into picture during the 5 privileged modes are called as banked registers. That is what these registers are. These registers are called banked registers and are identified by shades in the diagram. This is what is banked registers. Basically, they do not exist. They come into picture when the system enters into a particular mode. See, fast interrupt request is one of the modes. Interrupt request is one of the mode. Supervisor is one of the mode. Undefined is one of the mode. Abort is one of the mode. When the processor is working in one of these particular modes, these registers will get themselves renamed. These renamed registers are called as banked registers. Nothing special about this. So basically when the processor is in the user or in the system mode, this banked registers do not come into picture. They will be the normal registers. When the processor is into a privileged mode, when they enter into any one of these 5 particular modes, those particular registers will be called as banked registers. That is what it happens. For example, let us say that fast interrupt request mode. Let us say that you have a processor and there is a fast interrupt request coming inside. As I said you, interrupt request is nothing but a request which is given by the peripheral. So fast interrupt request is a request which will be coming from the peripheral. As soon as the interrupt request comes to the processor what it has to do is, it will be doing a particular work. It has to suspend the work and it has to check what work it has to do based on the interrupt request. So as soon as the interrupt request comes to the processor will suspend the work and it will start doing the work of this particular interrupt request. As it starts doing the work of this interrupt request, all the registers which were R8, R9, R10 to 11, 12, 13, 14, they will all get themselves renamed to the registers as per the mode in which it is going to work. So what should happen? So let us say that it was executing a particular code and this is where my fast interrupt request came into picture. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, during the 6th line it came into picture. 7th line will not be executed. This part of the program will be executed after the interrupt request has been served. Now, as soon as this interrupt request comes into picture or it comes to the processor, all this particular instructions or the address corresponding to this particular instructions should be stored somewhere, right? Whatever values were present in the CPSR, this entire CPSR or this copy of this CPSR has to be stored somewhere, right? Because later, after the interrupt request has been serviced, my processor has to come back to the same point and it has to resume with the execution of the program, isn't it? That is why what will happen is, as soon as the interrupt request or as soon as the fast interrupt request or as soon as the supervisor undefined or abort mode comes into picture, whatever values were stored in the CPSR, all the values will be pushed into the SPSR. That is why we call this as SPSR, saved program status register. So what basically the saved program status register will do? Saved program status register will contain the copy of the CPSR when the processor shifts from one mode to other mode, when the processor shifts from the non-privileged mode to the privileged mode. This is what it is actually going to happen. That is why this SPSR comes into picture. Are you getting this? Let us say that you are reading a book You are in the 14th page, suddenly your friend comes and interrupts. So what you will do is, you will fold this page and you will close the book and you will go with the friend and you will come back and you will open the book and you will start with the 15th page, isn't it? Very similarly, when the processor is executing a program, if there is some interrupt request coming from outside, my processor should store or save all the status of the program what it was executing before it goes to the subprogram or to the subroutine. After it finishes the execution of the subroutine, it has to return back to the subprogram and it has to start the execution of the main program. So that is why we have the SPSR here. That is what your SPSR is going to do here. Let us study these things in detail. Bank registers are available when the processor is in a particular mode. For example, abort mode, the bank registers will be named as R13, R14 and SPSR abort. Bank registers of a particular mode are denoted by the underlined character postfix to the mode, mnemonic or mode, something like this. R13 SVC, R13 abort, R14 FIQ, RSPSR IQ, something like that. Every processor mode except user mode can change mode by writing directly to the mode bits of the CPSR. That is, if you go to the CPSR here, if you go to the CPSR, if you are asking me, sir, how do you change the modes of the processor? So what you can do is, you can write the values into this particular mode field or control mode field of this control, and you can change the processor change from one mode to the other mode. That is what it has explained here. See here, all processor modes except all processor mode except user mode can change mode by writing directly to the mode bit of the CPSR. All processor modes except system mode have a set of associated bank registers that are a subset of main 16 registers. Very well known fact. My registers were actually 16 plus 2. So this is your basic registers. Whatever bank registers I can see, they are all the subset of the 16 registers. That is what this says. All processor modes except system mode have a set of associated bank registers that are a subset of main 16 registers. A bank register maps to one to one onto the user mode register. That is coming here. See, R18 has become R18 FIQ, R9 has become RFIQ. So this registers are the registers of your system mode or user mode. There is a one-to-one mapping. So R10 will not become R8 FIQ or R11 will not become R14 FIQ. R11 will become R1 FIQ itself. This is what we call it as one-to-one mapping. If you change the processor mode, a bank register from the new mode will replace an existing register. Very well known thing. So if it is in the fast interrupt request mode, and if you go to the control field of the CPSR and if you induce the interrupt request mode, the registers R13 and R14 will change from R13 FIQ to R13 IRQ, R14 FIQ. Suppose if you are in the interrupt request mode and if you go to the mode field of the CPSR and if you change it to supervisor mode, it will become R13 SVC, R14 SVC. That is what this particular thing says. The processor mode can be changed by the program that writes directly to the CPSR. That is, you can go from FIQ to IQ. From here you can go to SVC. From here you can go to abort. From here you can go to undefined. So you can go from any mode to any mode by changing the contents of the mode field of the CPSR. How do you do that? That is using the program. The following exceptions and the interrupts can cause the change. It can be a reset. So what will happen as soon as the reset is pressed? As soon as the reset is pressed, you will go to SVC mode. What will happen if it is the interrupt request mode? It will go to the interrupt request mode. What will happen if the fast interrupt request comes? It will go to the FIQ. What will happen if there is a software interrupt? It will go to the IQ mode. What will happen if there is data abort? It will go to the abort mode. What will happen if there is a prefetch abort? It will go to the abort mode. What will happen if there is an undefined instruction? It will go to the undefined mode. So modes can be changed either by the programmer or it can get changed as per the interrupts or as per the exceptions that are coming inside. Exceptions and interrupts suspend the normal execution of the sequential instruction and jump to a specific location. Well known thing. You are executing a program, suddenly an interrupt comes which cannot be masked. So what will you do? This particular values, whatever program is left further will not be executed. You will jump from here directly to the interrupt request. You will execute the program in the subroutine and you will return back and execute the things. But when you are returning from here, please make sure the contents of the CPSR is pushed into the SPSR, so that when you come back to the main program, you can push these values back to the CPSR and you can start with the resumption of the main program what you were actually executing. This is how it has to, or this is how it actually works. See here, the figure shows the code changing from the user mode to the interrupt request mode. See, this is your user mode. If the interrupt request comes, your registers will change itself to the name and CPSR contents will be pushed on to the SPSR. This is what I have been explaining. The above figure shows the new register appearing in the interrupt request mode, the saved program status register which stores the previous mode of the CPSR. Explain this, right? So whatever contents are present in the CPSR, if you are going to the interrupt, if you are going to service an interrupt, the contents of the CPSR will be pushed on to the SPSR. After the interrupt has been serviced, the contents of the SPSR will be pushed back to the CPSR and the resumption of the main program will continue. Note that SPSR can only be modified and read in the privileged mode. There is no SPSR available in the user mode. Why SPSR is not available in the user mode? Because in the user mode you are executing a normal program. You do not go to the subroutine. So why do you need SPSR? SPSR is not needed in the user or in the system mode. That is what it is given here. Another important feature is to note that CPSR is not copied into SPSR when the mode change is forced due to a program writing directly to CPSR. The saving of CPSR only occurs when exception or interrupt is raised. Okay, to be understood. Suppose you have an interrupt request or you have a fast interrupt request coming, only then the contents of the CPSR will be moved on to the SPSR. If it is abort or if it is undefined or if it is supervisor mode, the contents of the CPSR will not be moved into SPSR. Abort is you are stopping the program. So you are not going to start with the resumption. Undefined is also same thing. You do not know the instruction, so you are going to stop it. Supervisor mode is you are just turning on the system, so there will be no concept of the CPSR or SPSR at all. So CPSR contents will be copied into the SPSR only during the interrupt request or during the fast interrupt request mode. The following table lists the various modes and the associated binary pattern. See here, it's given here. Suppose you are in the user mode. If the system enters into the abort mode, let's say that there is a mode, okay? This is the mode field. It is in the user mode. When it is in the user mode, the contents of the mode field will be 10000. Suppose abort happens, suddenly the contents of the mode will be changed to 10111, which means that the system has come to abort mode. Suppose if it is a user mode and if there is a fast interrupt request, the contents will become 10010. Suppose if you are in the user mode and if the suddenly power turns off, then the contents of the mode field will become 1011. Suppose if it is a user mode and if it has to go to system mode, it will become 1111. Suppose if it is a user mode and suddenly an undefined instruction is encountered by the program, the contents of the mode will become 101111. Suppose it is in the undefined mode and if it has to go to user mode, the contents will become 100. So this will be induced either by the interrupts or fast interrupts or by the way in which the program works, or you can change the contents using a program. You can write a program so that you can induce abort in the program. You can induce undefined mode in the program or undefined mode to the processor, or you can induce supervisor mode to the processor. So all this is possible. You can change the modes as per your requirements, or as per your requirements you can change the modes of the processor. But remember, changing the modes can happen only in the privileged mode, not in the non-privileged mode. Suppose if you are in the user mode, you cannot induce undefined system, SVC, IRQ, FIQ or abort. If it gets induced by itself, that's fine, but you cannot do it. So these are the things what you need to remember. regarding the modes, states and instruction set. So state means it is all about, suppose a program is getting executed, suppose a program is getting executed, you have your CPSR, there is flag field, there is status field, there is execution field, and there is mode field. So state is all about what are the values that are present in the flag field and what are the values that are present in the control field. Sorry, it's not mode, it is control field. So this values, whatever that is present in the flag field and the control field of the CPSR, defines the state of that particular processor. Coming to the instruction set, normally there can be three types of instruction set. One instruction set is called as ARM instruction set, second is called as thumb instruction set, third one is called as Jazil instruction set. ARM instruction set is an instruction set where all instructions are 32-bit in size. Thumb instruction set is an instruction set where all instructions are 16-bit. Jazil instruction set is an instruction set where all instructions are 8-bit. If you are asking me, sir, is it possible to change the instruction set as per my requirement? Yes, you can. Suppose if you have written a program using the ARM instruction set and if you say that, sir, I want to execute the instructions using the thumb instruction set, you can change a 32-bit instruction to a 16-bit instruction. Suppose you have an instruction which is written in the ARM using ARM instructions which is 32-bit, and if you want to change it to an 8-bit instruction or Jazil bit instruction, it is possible. You can change it. You can change it, but you got to make sure when you are writing a program, it should either be a 32-bit program, it should either be a 16-bit program, or it should either be a 8-bit program. You cannot say that I am going to write 3 lines of 32-bit, 4 lines of 16-bit, and remaining 5 lines of 8-bit. You cannot intermingle this particular instructions later. Intermingling of this instruction set is not possible. This is regarding the instruction set. Let's check out the Jazil bit and thumb bit. Let's check out how this particular bits can be enabled also later. So this is what I have been explaining to you with respect to the instruction set of your processor. The ARM designers introduced a third set called as Jazil. Yeah, this I'll explain to you when it comes to the, when we go with the ARM processor. Yeah, let's take this here, okay. I'm going to write the control field, okay. I'm going to write only the control field of your CPSR. Only the control field is going to be written. So this is I, this is F, this is T, this is regarding the mode. Okay. This is this is interrupt request, this is fast interrupt, this is thumb mode. Okay. Now, suppose you have written a program which is of 32-bit, but you are interested in reducing those instructions to a 16-bit instruction so that your programs can get executed faster. So what you need to do is, you got to make this thumb bit 1. You got to make this thumb bit 1. Once you make this thumb bit 1, all these 32-bit instructions will become a 16-bit instruction. Suppose you say that, sir, I have written a 32-bit instruction set here and I want to make it something like 8-bit. So in that case, what you need to do is, in that case, in the status field, there is one more bit which is called as J bit. Suppose if your processor has got a J bit, you call this particular processor as Jazil enabled processor. You call this as Jazil enabled processor. So sir, I want my instructions to be an 8-bit instruction. So what you do is, you make this thumb bit 0 and you make this J bit 1. This is actually a 24th bit of your CPSR. 24th bit of your CPSR. The 24th bit of your CPSR, if you make it 1, all the instructions will become 8-bit instruction, thereby speeding up the process. This is what I said. You can program the CPSR as per your requirement. but you got to make sure you are in the privileged mode, because privileged mode only allows you to read and write. Only privileged mode allows you to read and write. So instructions are written using a particular, I mean, instructions are written using a particular size. If you want to reduce the size, it is possible. Suppose you say that, sir, I want to mask the interrupt. I don't want anyone to disturb me. In that case, what you can do is you can make this I bit 1. Suppose, sir, I want to, I want to mask the fast interrupt also. Then you can make this f equal to 1. When interrupt interrupt bit and fast interrupt bit are made as, see, this is 5, no, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. This is 5, 6, 7, 7th bit. So if you make the 6th and 7th bit equal to 1, when you are executing a program, there is an interrupt request what is coming inside, you will not be disturbed, because you have told the CPSR, see, nobody should disturb me. So what you have done is, you have made this interrupt request bit and fast interrupt request bit 1. So you can mask the interrupt request and fast interrupt request also. This is regarding the instruction set. More detail regarding this will be given to you in the notes. Also, the details regarding this will be explained during the online classes. So you just need to remember, ARM processors instructions can be of 3 types. One is ARM instruction set, thumb instruction set, and Jazil instruction set. If the Jazil instruction set is enabled, you call that particular processors as Jazil enabled processors. If it is thumb bit instructions, then thumb bit instructions are 16-bit instructions. So you can reduce the size of the instructions as per your requirement. So you can go to the CPSR field of your CPSR and you can change the contents of the CPSR as per your requirement, provided you are in the privileged mode. Fine. Interrupt masking. What do you mean by interrupt masking? Let us say you are sitting inside the room and studying. There's a door here. You are studying. A friend comes inside and he knocks the door. What you have done is, you have closed your ears using the cotton buds, so that you cannot hear whether he is calling or whether he is knocking. This particular processors in, this particular method in processors are called as masking. You are executing a program, the processor is executing a program, there is an interrupt request coming, and there is an interrupt request coming, and there is a fast interrupt request coming. What you have done is, you have made I bit and F bit equal to 1 and 1. So because of making this interrupt request, I bit and F bit equal to 1, this interrupt requests are not sent inside at all. They are masked. They are masked. He is knocking and calling you. You do not want to hear him. So you have closed your ears. Similarly, the processor also can do the same by enabling the interrupt bit and fast interrupt bit to 1. Once that particular interrupt bit and fast interrupt request bit has been enabled to 1, then normally your processor will not be accepting any interrupt request or fast interrupt request. Sir, how do I do that? Using a programs. A programmer can do that. Using the programs, you can enable it or disable it. Suppose if you are enabling it, you need to make this 1 and 1. See, you can check out here. 0. Interrupt request has been disabled. Fast interrupt request has been disabled here. Interrupt request has been enabled. Thumb bit has also been disabled here, and it is in SVC mode. SVC means it is in the supervisor mode. It is in the supervisor mode. So when it is in supervisor mode, the contents can be seen here. T is 0, I is 0, F is 1, T is 0, then it is all about the mode. This is about your masking of your interrupt or fast interrupt request that is coming to the processor. Moving on further, it is all about conditional flags. So you would have seen in the CPSR, my first field is flags. My first field is flags, and this is all about N, Z, C, and V. Negative flag, zero flag, carry flag and overflow flag, isn't it? Now, condition flags are when will these flags be updated? After a particular instruction has been executed. Let's say it's an ALU instruction. After your ALU does an arithmetic and logical operation, suddenly after this arithmetic and logical operation has been carried out, the contents of this, the operation that has been carried out will be updating the contents of this particular flag. Suppose let us say that you have done a subtraction operation. You have done a subtraction operation and the subtraction operation has resulted a 0. As soon as the 0 has been resulted here, then if you go and check the status of this flag register, it will be like this: N, Z, C, V. N will be in capital, Z, C, V will be in small terms. It will be in the small terms, or it will be indicated using the small letters. That is what this conditional flag is all about. Suppose let us say that you have done an additional operation and it has generated a carry. So if carry has been generated, then this will be like this: N, Z, C and V. You're getting this? The status of the flag registers can be read by the user using this indication. Suppose all the flags are set high, then it will be N, Z, C and V. Suppose the overflow has been generated, then this will be N, Z, C and V. This is how the flags are going to indicate the status of the flag registers. Why these flag registers are important? They are important because every instruction is conditionally executed. If you have got 5 instructions here, first instruction will be executed and the flag registers will be checked. Only if the condition has been satisfied, then the second instruction will get executed. Again, after the second instruction, flag registers will be checked. Only if the condition is satisfied, third instruction is going to be executed. This is what it is all about. So conditional flags are updated by comparison and the results ALU operation that S is going to generate. So this is all about your flag registers. All these things has been explained to you. See here, one of the example has been given. Here. See here, saturation flag has also been indicated. So here what has happened is after an instruction has been executed, carry has been generated. So you can see here, C has been highlighted. It is written as NZCVQ. So carry has been generated. What is the status of the mode? Status of the processor? The processor is in the SVC mode or in the supervisor mode. What about the interrupt request? Interrupt request has been disabled. Interrupt request has been enabled. Fast interrupt request has been disabled. Which mode it is going to work? It is going to take ARM instruction itself, or 32-bit instruction itself is going to be taken. Why? Because thumb bit is also disabled. Jazelle bit is also disabled. So by looking into this particular CPSR, you can say what is the status of the flag, what is the mode in which it is going to work, whether it is going to accept the request or whether it is going to disable the request, or whether the interrupt request and fast interrupt request has been disabled. All these things can be predicted by you people. See, one more example has been given here. See here, NZCVQ. So here it's the same thing. C is capital. Carry flag is generated. Carry has been generated. That which indicates that C is capital. Other than that, all the things are as it is explained here. Final thing for today's video session: conditional execution. Conditional execution, as I said, you controls whether or not the core will execute the next instruction. Prior to the execution, the processor compares the conditional property with the conditional flags in the CPSR. If they match, the instruction is executed. Otherwise, the instruction is ignored. The conditional attribute is postfixed to the instruction mnemonic, which is encoded in the instruction. So this is how it goes on. Every instruction will have a condition. So only if the condition gets executed, then next instruction gets done. If the condition is not satisfied, the next instruction is not executed. It is going to be ignored. That is what is meant by conditional execution in the ARM processor. This topic has been discussed, in fact, in the very first video session where we said conditional execution. Conditional execution is all about this one. See, comparing. You are comparing the contents of the register R3 with 0. If they are equal, then go to next. If it is not equal, then add the contents and subtract the contents and wind up. So every instruction will have a condition. Only if it is done, then it is to be executed. So that is regarding the topic what we had to discuss for or discuss in this particular video lecture. Thank you.